if we could have the problem owner just give us any additional information that we need to know.
I work in a number of teams, and I very often have the sort of the project officer, coordinator type role, and I'm this sort of individual who's responsible to get all things done, but have very, very little authority to get these things moving, and it's very difficult to be able to exert the power without having, exert the power, because there isn't any power, it's powerlessness. Okay. So it's how to influence without having any power.
All right, then.
Sue works in education and juggles several roles at the same time. As problem owner, she works with a small group of helpers who will act as consultants and assist her in redefining and exploring the problem.
And yet, me as the sort of individual responsible for managing what's going on has very little authority to actually sort of go and say, well, this is what should be done.
As outsiders, the other group members can offer fresh perspectives on Sue's problem. With Layla's encouragement, they begin a series of techniques for opening up the issues. Sue found one of these particularly challenging.
The one that I thought worked really well was the one that was the most painful for me, which was that when I was sort of being bombarded with the why can't you do this, why do you have to do it this way, why are you doing this, why are you doing that? It was and they didn't let up, they just kept coming at me and coming at me.
Why do you need to do many jobs?
Why are the problems through having no authority?
Why is there a link between interest and influence for you?
I have professional interests and personal interests.
I was aware that what was going on, at one level simple, at another level was also very deep for her emotionally. She'd made a switch from seeing the problem as being one that belonged in the organisation and the nature of the work, and herself as on the suffering victim side of that, to realising through a series of many, many why questions that maybe this was saying something about her inability to say no, and I could feel quite a strong emotional reaction.
Why don't you have a major involvement in any one thing?
Because of the nature of the roles that I take on, I think.
Why do you feel so restrained in being able to influence that yourself?
I think this is more of a personal thing, isn't it? It's more of a...
With more time, I would agree with you.
The initial signs are body language. When somebody gets a certain look where their shoulders come up, they sink into a defence mode, their eyes might be darting about. So I mean a lot of the body language, the tone. Her tone went quite wobbly in terms of tone of voice. And she looked quite fragile and also a sense looking down of things going to a lower level, which often happens when people are getting into an emotional state.
Because I feel that I need to be chasing the next contract all the time in order to remain within the institution, if you like.
Have a problem, don't necessarily know they have a problem, therefore don't question it.
Right.
Getting quite deep here.
It is, yeah.
Are you okay with this?
Yes, I'm okay. Yes, I'm okay.
I was a bit concerned that the group wasn't necessarily noticing the degree to which he was being affected, so I was acting as an intermediary. That was one of the points why I intervened. And again, a bit jokingly and so on, was basically saying, look, come on, chaps, be gentle with her. We will be supporting and looking for solutions and not just leave you with a feeling of needing to talk to victim support.
Samaritans. Yeah. I went on this problem-solving weekend and I've got more problems now.
Timekeeping, I think, is actually one of the most difficult parts of the whole process. The reason for that is that if the particular session you're working in does get quite intense, and often that intensity is focused on one particular issue, it's then a question of, do you run with that and let it take time, in which case what do you do with the rest of the things that you were planning to do, thinking of doing? What about keeping pace with the methodology of creative problem solving? What about even the quite practical things of managing breaks and so on? And time management is a real difficulty. We've got now, let's say, 15 minutes. Even at quite a basic level, when you say to a group, can we just wind it up in 3 minutes, folks, finish what you're writing up on the flip chart, you know, and they take 10 because they start another little argument or a discussion or whatever. If they're in fairly jolly, cooperative mood, then you can rush them. But if they're still tussling with something, my own view is you give them a little bit longer, and then you work with the consequences that has for your timekeeping.
Layla and Mac are still broadly on schedule, and now it's definitely time for a break.
Going for a walk takes people outside, it takes them away from the room, it takes them away from the focus of the problem. It also gives them a lot of other stimuli. And going for a walk, particularly if you're in quite nice surroundings, like here, you know, some trees, and, you know, skies, nice and blue, and it's a pleasant day. Sometimes that change of state, physical state, produces a change of mental and emotional state, which leads to a different way of thinking about the problem or about the process.
The groups quickly discuss what the sculptures convey, and then it's on to the next phase of problem solving.